Well, Bill Gates, we all know him as the business legend that created Microsoft, the self-made billionaire, the genius, the legend, and I'm sure it's someone that a lot of you guys look up to. Today in this video, I actually wanted to go through Bill Gates' public portfolio, or the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation's portfolio. It's the only stock portfolio of Bill Gates that is public. And in this video today, I just wanted to go over all of the positions in the stock portfolio pretty in depth, especially the top 10 largest ones. We'll go through all the stocks there from largest to smallest, and I'll give my quick opinion on each one, a bit of an analysis on each one and each position in the portfolio. But just before we do dive into the portfolio there, guys, if you could absolutely destroy the like button, it's always appreciated, like I always say. Or if you want to subscribe, that would be great. Let you be notified of any other new videos that I post. I do make stock market videos, personal finance videos all the time. So if you like this video, consider subscribing. Now, we'll certainly get into Bill Gates' stock portfolio here, but if you want to have a look at my stock portfolio, click up here and it will take you straight to it. Anyway, let's get into it. So the first position and the largest, making up over 47% of the portfolio, is Berkshire Hathaway. Ticker symbol BRK.B, because it's the B shares obviously. But this position is worth over $8.2 billion of the portfolio, and he currently owns just shy of 45 million shares in this portfolio alone. And I'm sure in Bill's personal portfolio he owns more, just because him and Warren Buffett are such good friends in real life. And I'm sure most of you guys, if you do know about the stock market, you already know what Berkshire Hathaway is. But if you don't, it's pretty much Warren Buffett's company. He's the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway. And he's an investing legend. He's a self-made billionaire from stock market investing. But yeah, the company that he owns, Berkshire Hathaway, is a massive conglomerate company that own just a ton of different brands, a ton of different other smaller companies, and they have large stock positions in a bunch of other smaller companies. Some of the companies that Berkshire Hathaway owns fully are brands like Geico Insurance, one of the biggest insurance companies in the US, Duracell batteries, I'm sure everyone would have heard of that, Dairy Queen, Lubrizol, Fruit of the Loom, and the list just goes on. They fully own a huge amount of American-based businesses. They also have some large stakes or own a lot of stock in companies as well. Some main ones being Kraft Heinz, I'm sure everyone has heard of that. Everyone loves some baked beans. American Express, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, the two biggest banks pretty much in America there, Coca-Cola, and Apple. Now, they used to own big positions in all the major airline companies in the USA as well, but obviously it's been pretty recent news that Warren Buffett sold out of those completely. Given the current situation, he sold out completely, and he actually sold out at a loss on these airline companies. And for Warren Buffett to sell out of a stock, damn, he must think their business model is completely crippled for a very long time. But yeah, Berkshire Hathaway just own a huge amount of well-established companies, and I can completely understand why Bill owns this stock. It's a nice diversification stock. Just because owning this stock, you have so many eggs in so many different baskets. It's a nice, safe stock to preserve your wealth there. Alright, moving on to the second largest holding in Bill's portfolio there, and that is Waste Management Incorporated. Ticker symbol WM, and it makes up just under 10% of his portfolio. He does have a total of 18.6 million shares there in Waste Management. Now, this company pretty much is just what this name says. It specialises in the collection and the disposal of waste. You know, trash, rubbish, garbage. Now, this is a very solid, stable company with consistent profits each year and a very nice balance sheet. And obviously something like Waste Management is very recession-proof and a very safe stock. It's safe to say if we're in a recession, there's still going to be garbage that needs to be cleaned up. Duh. Alright, the third biggest position in Bill's stock portfolio there is Canadian National Railway Co., ticker symbol CNI, and it makes up just over 7.5% of the portfolio. Now again, with this one, it's pretty obvious what they do. It is in the name. It's obviously a railway transportation company, and railway transportation is definitely an integral part in world economies. It's integral to the transportation of freight and goods and services from point A to point B. And I can completely understand why Bill owns this in this portfolio. It is again another nice, safe stock there that's pretty recession proof. A very defensive stock, one of the biggest railway networks across Canada and the USA. Alright, fourth biggest position there in the portfolio is a more well-known company, a more talked about one that you'll probably know. It's Walmart. Ticker symbol WMT. Makes up another over 7.5% of the portfolio roughly as well. It does have around about $1.3 billion invested in this one. Now we all know what Walmart is, even if Walmart isn't in your country like me. In Australia we have no Walmarts, but I still know what it is. They have a whole bunch of mega stores across the USA and some internationally, and they just pretty much sell anything that you can think of. Groceries, furniture, anything like that. They just have a bunch of these mega stores across the USA. And again, I can certainly understand why Bill owns this one in this portfolio. It's another very defensive, very recession-proof stock. If we're in a recession, people still need to eat. People still need to go buy groceries. Like, Walmart is still going to be well off. E-commerce like Amazon and stuff like that may take some market share away from them in the future, but I think Walmart and companies like that, grocery stores, are still here to stay. At least for now. Maybe in 100 years we might see how it plays out, but at least for now. Now the fifth largest position in the portfolio is Caterpillar Incorporated, ticker symbol CAT. Makes up just over 7.5% of the portfolio there, with about 11.2 million shares invested. Now I'm sure you've probably heard of this one as well. It's a pretty well-known construction company. They are pretty much the world's largest producer of construction equipment and construction vehicles. They have a very well-known established brand. I know it's definitely the first brand I think of when I think of construction. When I think of construction in my head, I think of like a yellow digger that has like the cat logo on there. But now again, I can see why Bill has this one in this portfolio. Definitely fits the theme of this portfolio. A nice defensive stock in a nice defensive portfolio just used to preserve wealth. It does have a nice strong competitive advantage with being the biggest player in the industry in the world and like the most recognizable player in the industry obviously. But I do not see it as recession proof as the other stocks that we've mentioned before, because like what usually happens in a recession, pretty much construction and the building of new infrastructure just falls off a cliff. So that would mean in less demand for construction products and construction equipment then, but I can still see why Bill owns this one. Now, moving on to the sixth largest position there in Bill's portfolio, and that would be Crown Castle International Corporation, ticker symbol CCI, and it makes up just under 4.5% of the portfolio with a total of 5.3 million shares in Crown Castle there. Now this one I don't know too much about, but I do believe it's Bill's cellular play or 5G play. Crown Castle just has a massive amount of cell towers and fibre routes across the USA. And it's just one of those companies that we're going to see grow as long as we continue to see the use of technology grow. It's the area that they specialise in. And the more we ever start to rely on the small computers in our pockets, it's just going to be beneficial to a company like Crown Castle. So I can see why Bill has this one in this portfolio. Now the seventh largest position in the portfolio is actually a company called Ecolab, ticker symbol ECL. Comes in at just under 4% of the portfolio's value. And to be honest, this one is a bit tricky to understand, to be honest. This one is definitely a bit out of my circle of confidence. Definitely a hard stock to understand. From what I was reading up on and what I understand, they provide water solutions to companies. Like mining companies, things like that. They offer like treatment facilities to water like that, or preservation and water storage, things like that. I don't know, like I said, it's a bit tricky to understand. If you do want to read up on more about it yourself, then I suggest you do. But yeah, it's a bit tricky for me to understand. It's a bit out of my circle of confidence there on this one. Now, stocks 8 and 9 we'll talk about both at the same time here because they are pretty much the same business model. But number 8 is UPS, United Parcel Service, and number 9 is FedEx, both two package delivery and logistic companies. and I can obviously see why these two are included in the portfolio. As e-commerce becomes an ever larger business sector year over year over year, it just continues to become more and more apparent. More and more things are being ordered online, so we need those products to get shipped out to the people that ordered them, right? So I can see why these two stocks are definitely in the portfolio, just because these guys aren't going anywhere anytime soon. And the 10th largest position in the portfolio is one I haven't really heard of before. Schroeder Incorporated. Now, its ticker symbol is SDGR if you want to check it out, and it makes up just over 1.7% of Bill's portfolio. And now this company is a bit more of a speculative play. It's certainly more speculative than the previous stocks that we've mentioned before, the nice safe ones. But again, this one is a bit hard to understand. What I believe Schrodinger's business model right now is that they've created this computer platform or computer program that they sell to pharmaceutical companies, chemical companies, electronic companies. And it's a computer platform that helps scientists study and build compounds, have a look at compounds and the breakdown of compounds through this computer platform and this computer application, I believe. Again, this one is a bit hard to understand and it's out of my circle of confidence, unfortunately. But it's definitely a quite interesting tech stock there, and it's definitely a way more speculative and a bit of an outlier in this portfolio compared to the other stocks there. Now, other notable holdings that we haven't talked about here, just because they are such a small part of the portfolio, are names like Apple, Amazon, Alibaba, and Google, Alphabet Inc. But all of these positions are just less than 1%, so I won't go in full detail on those. Just thought it would be interesting to mention that Bill does also own some of those more well talked about popular stocks there in the portfolio, but they are a lot smaller positions. It is surprising though, and it's probably pointing out the obvious, but there's no Microsoft shares in this portfolio at all. Now, I know Bill would obviously own a large amount in his private portfolio, but in the Bill and Melinda Gates portfolio here, it's interesting to see that there's no Microsoft shares present at all. Just thought I'll point that out. Obviously, as we know it, right now I believe Bill has something like 330 million shares in Microsoft, so I can understand why he doesn't want to add shares in this own separate little portfolio. But overall there, the portfolio does total up to be around about $18 billion. And it's certainly designed there to be a more defensive portfolio that's not really interested in outperforming the stock market or massive gains. It's really there just to sit and retain the average return of the stock market over time and preserve Bill's welfare. It's there to get a nice steady return rather than outpacing or outgrowing the stock market. And to be honest, if I was a billionaire, I'd be doing the same thing. Anyway guys, I hope you did like the analysis there of Bill's public stock portfolio there, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation portfolio. If you did guys, as always, smash that like button. It does greatly help me out with the YouTube algorithm there. Again, consider subscribing, hit that circle to stay notified on all my new videos. I do stock market videos all the time. Check out this video and playlist guys. That's all I have for today. You have a good one.